Okay, so I can't believe it took us this long to bring him up. But how about Sandman on Saturday in the Southwest Stakes at Oak Lawn? John forbade me from referring to him by name last week because he thought it was unlucky, and I didn't.
Yep.
I didn't say it.
Yep.
And then, of course, we got very, very unlucky in the race anyway. So I think John's rules are full of shit, and I'm just going to say what I want going forward.
Since when has that ever stopped you other than that one instance, Joe? But all right,
I will escape from under your iron fists one of these days, John. But no, like if you haven't seen the race, maybe we'll put up the replay. If not, it's all over Twitter. Sandman took a quick left turn coming out of the gate. He did a little stutter step, a little electric slide coming out of the gate, and basically jumped to his left, and the jockey barely stayed on, and he was left like 5 or 6 lengths last. And at that point you're thinking, oh shit, this might just be a total wash. Right. You might have to draw a line through this race and then hope he's back on his game and doing the right things in 4 weeks. But no, he gradually got his way back into the race, down the backstretch, made a huge move on the turn, and just could not quite reel in Speed King, who won the race. And I don't want to take anything away from him because he ran well too. Mm-hmm. He did, the first quarter was pretty slow, but then the pace got quicker and quicker down the backstretch. So he did run well, and it was an interesting race because not only did Sandman get off poorly, but Gaming got checked very, very hard going into the first turn. Right. Patch Adams was off a little bit slowly, although I think he had the least excuse out of the 3. Right. Maybe he just doesn't want to go 2 turns. But yeah, I think also Sandman was still a little bit green down the stretch. He was still weaving in and out a little bit, but it's just so awesome to see him turn this corner and to show that, like, because, with horses that are green and do need to mature a little bit, sometimes you throw one obstacle at them and they're like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to do this today. Like, this is too hard. So for him to fight through that kind of adversity shows you, not only that he has the talent, but that he has the will and that he has the bravery to win a race like the Kentucky Derby, because it's very rare in the Derby are you going to have a perfect trip where everything just opens up. Like, I know Calvin Burrell, like, somehow got past 18 horses on the rail on Mind That Bird, but in general, like, you're going to have some hiccups and you steady a little bit and you have to weave between horses. And that was good practice on Saturday for the Derby. Got a 92 buyer. The winner got a 93. And it looks like he's going to point for the Rebel next. And he's got a big fan base, I think, with good reason. It's so exciting to have both West Point and DJ in on him. Like, I'm counting down the days, John, like 96 days away from the first Saturday in May. Looking forward to potentially being in that walkover with you and with Terry and the whole family. Like, I'm tingled thinking about it. There's obviously a long way to go. There's a lot of other obstacles he's got to cross and he's got to hurdle. Yep. But you got to feel even better than you did going into the race, despite the fact that he didn't win.
Yeah, and Joe, I think you hit the nail on the head as far as before you listen to what our comments are, you have to watch the race. Watch the first 5 seconds of the race. Sandman breaks, and sometimes I've heard, and trainers have said to me, jockeys have said to me, sometimes they break so explosively that the ground underneath them like breaks down a little bit, and that's why they stumble, because they have so much forward momentum coming out of the gate. So he went down, almost hit his head on the track, almost hit his nose on the track, and then got up. Christian Torres like gathered him up, and the horse like got up, jumped, like you said, a little bit on a stutter step to his left on his hind legs, not even like on all 4 legs, on his hind legs. And then like a cat exploded off of his hind legs and kept moving forward. And my first reaction was, oh shit, he's going to roll an ankle. Oh shit, he's going to hurt him. Because horses, that size and with that much explosiveness usually don't come out, unscathed when they have all those unnatural movements from an immediate, standstill to an explosive move to a standstill to an explosive move again. It just doesn't happen. It's not happening that way, which again goes to show the athleticism of Sandman. How about how much heart he had to give the field that much of a head start, make a move, make a second move. And the only thing I'll disagree with you is I don't think he was necessarily green going down the stretch. I think he was getting tired. I think he was like,
that could be it too.
Yeah, I think he was like, oh, this is further than I've ever run before, and I had to give them a huge head start to do this, and weave around horses. And then he did get a little bothered going down the stretch. Also, he was getting kind of, it wasn't mugged or anything like that, but if he had a little bit of a cleaner lane, maybe he would have gone. But he has the heart to try. And we talk all the time about horses where if they go to the front and if they can't get the lead by themselves, they can't handle it. They have no heart. They have a pea heart. They're common. All those adjectives that were used to describe me in my running days. That people look at for horses. So the fact that Sandman did all those things and still almost won was huge, huge, huge. I think, Joe, we're going to give him a little bit of an extra, break and probably run him back in the Rebel, which is, about 4 weeks away. But again, he's got to do a lot to come out of that. Make sure he came out of the race sound. 2 days later, he's still doing great and feeling good, but he was tired. He was definitely had a crease down his back. He was definitely put everything he could have into that race. It was just important to make sure that we're always watching to see how he's doing. But the decision by Mark Casse, Hall of Fame Mark Casse, to send him to Oaklawn, where we've never stabled horses before, Joe. We've never stabled horses at Oaklawn. And despite the fact that they've had weather issues and everything like that, this son of a gun is really taken to that racetrack and taken to that kind of training. And I know he's ours anyway, but I wouldn't trade him with anybody in the race. And that's not to say that Speed King's not going to be a leading contender, because, Speed King's only quote unquote blemish on his resume was that, he finished second in a hard fought race in the Springboard Mile against Coal Battle. And all Coal Battle is one of the top 15 horses, arguably in the Kentucky Derby picture as well. Patch Adams, I think this is my theory only, Joe. I'm curious to see what you think about it. Is that I think that they told Pratt, who was riding the horse for the first time, let the speed go, because there was a lot of speed in the race, especially on the outside of him. Let the speed go, and we want to make one run to try to educate the horse, because that horse had only run twice, and both times were sprinting. And I think that's what they were trying to do. And he broke, and he got throttled back, and all of a sudden, after the first furlong and a half of the race, we were in the back end of the race with him, and I did not expect to see Patch Adams in the back of the field. So I think that was a strategic move. Maybe I'm wrong, but that was my guess, is that's what Brad Cox and China Horse and Windstar and Flavian, I think that's what they all kind of decided to do, is let the speed go and let's educate the horse and make a big run. Because I'd rather educate him in January than try to have to educate him in May.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the reasons that I think Mark Casse's done such a good job with Sandman, because just to let people in on some of the inside conversations, after the Street Sense, after you ran third in the Street Sense, which was it was an okay effort. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't what we were expecting. There was some internal discussion about hey, should we freshen him up a little bit for his 3-year-old year? And Mark Casse was adamant. He said no, the only way he's going to mature and grow is to keep running. And now look, 2 starts later, he was number 2 on the TDN top 12. I think you can make a reasonable case for number 1 right now. Like I said, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Still a lot of time until the Derby, but I don't know. Find me a more impressive race from a 3-year-old, even from the 2-year-old, the last couple of months of the year. I just was so proud of him and how well he ran and how brave he was. And let's keep him moving forward. I think, I think those preps are going to be very tough in Oaklawn. Mm-hmm. I just think that those races have gotten progressively stronger, while the Louisiana and the Florida preps have gotten slightly weaker over time, just because of the money.
Well, the money. I was just going to say
it's hard to pass up $1 million for the first of 3 Kentucky Derby preps. Right. So that was a really salty field. And, like I said, a couple of horses had a lot of trouble. So the water is not going to get any easier. But like you said, he missed training too. Yeah. Because of the storms, the Oaklawn track was not in great shape for at least a week. Right. So he missed some training and still was able to do what he did. So Mark made the right call. Let's keep him there. Let's keep him happy, and let's keep moving forward.